Imagine this. You're walking through life with your head high, dreams in your heart, and fire in your spirit. But every time you take a step forward for yourself, someone whispers, "That's selfish." You're told to give, to sacrifice, to put others first. All the time, without question. And then one day someone like Ayn Rand steps into the spotlight and dares to say something shocking. Altruism is evil. It hits like lightning. It shakes the ground under everything you've been taught. But wait, what does that really mean? Let's break it down. Not with fancy words or empty talk. With power. With clarity. With truth. Altruism, as Ayn Rand defined it, is not just being kind. It's not just giving $1 to a hungry child or helping a friend in need. That's what we call compassion. That's human connection. That's love. But altruism, true altruism, is something very different. It says this: you do not have the right to live for your own sake. Altruism teaches that your life only has meaning when you give it up. That your job, your duty, is to serve, to sacrifice, to be a walking donation box for the needs of others. That the more you suffer for someone else, the more good you are. Sounds noble? No. It's a trap. Rand called it a moral code of self-destruction. Because if everyone is told to live for others, then who gets to live for themselves? Think about it. If you're constantly putting yourself second, your dreams, your values, your health, your voice, who are you living for? If everyone is a servant, where is the master? Here's the truth no one tells you. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot save the world if you destroy yourself first. You cannot lift others if you are crushed by guilt for wanting to breathe. Altruism, in Rand's view, isn't kindness. It's chains wrapped in the language of virtue. It says your life belongs to someone else, that you must not live for your own happiness. And when you give to someone else, it's not called generosity, it's called duty. You don't choose to give. You must give. No questions, no limits. Now here's where it gets dangerous. When giving is a choice, it is love. When giving is forced, it becomes slavery. That's what Rand warned us about. A world where you must suffer to be good. A world where pain becomes currency. Where the broken, the weak, the needy are raised as moral authorities, and the strong are punished for success. Altruism flips the moral compass. If you work hard, build something great, take care of your family, reach your goals, you owe it all to someone who didn't, because need becomes the new god. The person who fails gets to make a claim on your life, not because of what they do, but because they suffer. Now tell me, is that justice? Is that moral? Rand says no, loud and clear, and that's the power of her message. She wasn't promoting selfishness in the way we use that word today. She was fighting for something deeper, something sacred. Your right to exist for your own sake, to pursue your values, to be the hero of your own life, to say yes when you want to and no when you must. She believed that the individual matters, not the crowd, not the collective, not the needy stranger who demands your sacrifice, but you, as a thinking, feeling, choosing human being. And the moment you accept that, truly accept it, you begin to live. That doesn't mean you become cold, or cruel, or isolated. It means you give from a place of power. You help when you choose to help. Not because someone demands it, but because it aligns with your values. That is real morality. Because a virtue is only a virtue when it's chosen. Forced morality is no morality at all. Now let's get real for a second. Why do so many people still follow altruism if it's so destructive? Rand had an answer for that too. She said people are afraid, not of science, not of nature, not even of death. People are afraid to think for themselves. It's easier to follow a moral script written by others than to write your own. It's easier to be told what is good than to look inside and ask, what do I truly value? That's why so many people cling to altruism. They don't question it, not because it makes sense, but because it's the only option they've ever been given. But you're different. You're watching this because you're not afraid to ask the big questions. You feel that tension in your chest every time someone calls you selfish for wanting more out of life. And now you know. Maybe it's not selfish at all. Maybe it's sane. Maybe it's right. Maybe it's time to break the guilt and claim your life again. Before we go deeper into how altruism flips society upside down and how to reclaim your own moral compass, let me ask you to do something bold, like this video. Drop a comment right now and subscribe if this message hits you deep, because we're just getting started. You won't hear this truth in school. You won't see it on billboards. But here, we speak it loud, because your life matters, not as a sacrifice, but as a purpose. Let's take this deeper. If altruism says your purpose is to live for others, then what happens when everyone follows that idea? What happens when no one stands up for themselves? You get a world where no one leads, no one thinks independently, no one creates out of love. They create out of guilt, out of fear, out of pressure. Rand saw it clearly. If you destroy the right to pursue your own values, you destroy the spirit of humanity. You crush ambition. You punish greatness. You kill joy. And here's the twisted part. Under true altruism, even your mind is no longer yours. Let me say that again. Altruism doesn't just demand your money, or your time, or your energy. It demands your mind. If you have your own thoughts, your own beliefs, your own sense of truth, that's called selfish. That's ego. That's wrong. And so you're told to bend, to agree with the majority, to silence your voice, to let others define what's right and wrong for you. But what happens when you sacrifice your mind? You lose your identity. You lose your reason. You lose yourself. That is the hidden cost of altruism. Not just broken bank accounts, broken souls. Now I know what some people will say. But shouldn't we help others? Yes, of course. But help is not the same as surrender. Rand never said don't care. She never said don't love. She never said isolate yourself or ignore the needs of people you cherish. She said this: don't turn your life into a shrine for someone else's suffering. Because when helping others becomes your only moral purpose, when your own happiness is treated like a crime, you don't build a better world. You build a world of resentment, burnout, and quiet, aching despair. And it gets worse when you scale it. Because when altruism becomes law, when it becomes the rule of a society, it creates a new kind of power structure. Not one where the best rise and lift others, but one where failure becomes virtue and success becomes guilt. Think about it. If someone fails in life, whether through their own mistakes or just bad luck, they now have a claim on your success. They can demand your time, your resources, your energy, not out of gratitude, not out of partnership, but out of moral obligation. That's not generosity. That's emotional blackmail. It tells people, the more you suffer, the more you deserve. The more you achieve, the more you owe. And the result, a culture of weakness, a celebration of pain, a fear of standing tall. We've all seen it. People hiding their wins, apologizing for working hard, shrinking themselves so others don't feel less than. But listen to me. You were not born to shrink. You were not put on this earth to apologize for your light. You were not made to feel ashamed for wanting to live fully, proudly, and unapologetically. Your dreams are not sins. Your goals are not crimes. Your strength is not selfish. That's the core of Rand's message. Not arrogance, not greed, but this powerful truth. Your life is yours. That doesn't mean ignoring others. It means not being owned by them. It means choosing to love, not being obligated to. It means lifting someone because you want to, not because you must. It means giving from your fullness, not your fear. Because only a strong individual can create a strong community. Only a self-respecting person can build true relationships. Only a free thinker can inspire real change. And let's go even further. What happens to innovation in a world ruled by altruism? It dies. Because if your inventions, your art, your breakthroughs are just tools to serve others, you stop creating from passion. You start creating from guilt. Why try harder if the fruits of your labor don't belong to you? Why risk failure if success means becoming a target? That's the tragedy. Altruism doesn't just weaken people, it kills greatness. It turns the best minds into quiet machines. It teaches them to ask for permission before they speak their truth. It wraps every creative act in shame. But you, right now, you're seeing through it. And you're starting to realize something massive. The most moral thing you can do is to live a life of purpose, on your terms, to pursue truth, to build something real, to choose your own values and live by them boldly, without guilt. That is real freedom. That is real virtue. And that is the future we need more than ever. Because a world full of free, clear-thinking, purpose-driven individuals is a world worth fighting for. That's why we speak this truth. That's why this message matters. We're not here to attack kindness. We're here to reclaim dignity. And if this message is waking something up inside you, if it's challenging what you were taught, then share it. Because someone out there right now is giving up on their dream because they were told it was selfish. Someone is burning out, not because they don't care, but because they've been told they must never stop giving, even when they have nothing left. So let's say it loud for the people in the back. Your life is not a donation box. Your time is not a public resource. Your happiness is not a moral debt. Now picture this. You wake up tomorrow morning, and for the first time, you don't feel guilty for wanting more. You don't apologize for your ambition. You don't shrink for anyone. You don't explain away your fire. Instead, you stand up, you breathe in, and you say, "This life is mine." That's not selfish, that's sacred. Because if you don't own your life, someone else will. Altruism teaches you to serve. Rand teaches you to live. And here's what makes it revolutionary. When you live for yourself, not against others, but for yourself, you become more generous, not less. You give freely. You love boldly. You help because it feels right, not because you're afraid of being judged. You are not weighed down by duty, but lifted by desire. That's the kind of giving that changes lives, not guilt giving, gift giving. Because real love, real care, cannot come from obligation. It comes from joy, from choice, from power. Let's strip this all the way down. The idea that you were born to sacrifice is a lie. It was created to control you, to keep you obedient, to keep you small. But you are not small. You are not here to beg for permission. You are not here to feed the world and starve inside. You are not here to carry everyone else's load while breaking your back to smile. You are here to thrive. Rand said it clearly. The man who does not value himself cannot value anything or anyone. You've got to fill your own soul before you can light up another. And the moment you understand that, deep in your bones, you're free. Now here's a truth most people will never say out loud. When you live for others, you become invisible. You stop asking, "What do I want?" and start asking, "What do they expect?" You become a ghost of who you really are, and after a while that ghost forgets how to dream. But today, you remember. You remember that your time is limited, your energy is precious, your voice has weight, and it deserves to be heard. So what do you do now? You stop apologizing for living with purpose. You stop calling yourself bad for protecting your peace. You stop labeling your fire as ego, because the world doesn't need more people who are good at saying yes. It needs people who know when to say no. No to manipulation. No to false virtue. No to the belief that you owe your existence to anyone who suffers. Instead, say yes to strength, yes to vision, yes to creation, yes to the bold, beautiful responsibility of living a life that matters to you, a life that's not chained to duty, but driven by direction. Let's be clear. You do not need to be a victim to be good. You do not need to suffer to be noble. You do not need to disappear so others can shine. You are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to protect what you've earned. You are allowed to love yourself without shame. You are allowed to walk your own path, even if no one claps for you. That is not rebellion. That is self-respect. That is the core of Rand's moral revolution. Not chaos, not coldness, but clarity. She didn't say abandon others. She said don't abandon yourself, because a society full of self-sacrificing shells is not moral, it's miserable. But a world full of strong, awake, self-driven individuals, that's unstoppable. People who choose to help, people who choose to lead, people who create, not out of guilt, but from vision, people who do good, freely, not fearfully. That is the world we're building here, and it begins with one courageous decision, to live your life like it belongs to you. So the next time someone says, that's selfish, hold your head high and say, I know, thank you. Because if selfish means thinking, growing, building, and giving from the heart, not from obligation, then yes, be selfish. The kind of selfish that brings life back into your eyes. The kind of selfish that helps you finally breathe without guilt. The kind of selfish that doesn't ask for approval because it knows its worth. If that scares people, let it. If it challenges the world, good. Because the world needs challenging. And maybe, just maybe, you are the one who was born to do it. So if this message woke something up in you, if it cut through the noise and touched something deep, speak up. Comment below. Tell me what you think. What's holding you back from choosing your own life? Subscribe to the channel. Because this message isn't just a video, it's a movement. A call to those who are done living in chains. You are not here to be a sacrifice. You are here to be a force. You are here to live. Fully, freely, fiercely. Never forget that.